All right, guys, welcome back to the PPC Mastery podcast. But today we have sort of a new format that we are testing, launching. And I guess this is something that I would have loved to see earlier on in my career, because what we're going to do is give a little behind the scenes of a new client that Bob has recently started working with. So Bob, you're going to explain, everything about this new offer that you've launched, why now is the time that you have decided to change your offer at all. But what we want to do in this sort of mini series is show you the behind the scenes of the offer, what goes into it, certain milestones that Bob has defined within this offer. So going from a choice review session to a strategy, developing strategy based on an audit, helping his client actually implement, et cetera, et cetera. And we want to show you guys the behind the scenes of how this was built up and why. And the cool thing about this is that it's actually a little bit different than the usual Google Ads done for you management services. And we're gonna dive into that in this format. So without any further ado, Bob, we're gonna call this actually Scaling with Bob. So hopefully at the end of this format, the account will have been properly set up so that it can start to scale to the next level. But maybe from your perspective, Bob, maybe you can explain a little bit about this new offer that you have launched and why now is the time that you decided that you wanted to sort of shake things up and launch this new offer, and what the core steps are within this offer for you.
Yeah, good to be back. It's been a while since we did a podcast.
True.
I cannot recall the last time we recorded one. So
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, so it's good to be back and always fun to do. So yeah, this is going to be like a different format from what we've been doing so far. We basically launched this new format to give you some more insights about, day-to-day activities as a Google Ads specialist, at least from my side of things, from my point of view. And hopefully you can learn along and learn some stuff from me, from us. So recently we launched the landing page mastery course that I'm really happy with, and so far people love it. So I'm really happy with the results. But because we launched the landing page mastery, I essentially wanted to show instead of tell. So I felt the need to also redo my offer and also redo my landing pages. So I spent a couple of weeks in order to rethink the full offer that I wanted to put in place, and that's live right now. If you're curious about what the offer is and what it looks like, I will give you some more context in a bit as well. But you can go to my personal website, 𝗵𝗲.nl. We will also make sure to drop a link below in the show notes where you can see the full context and also how the landing page and how the offer is built up. So basically, that was the core reason why I redid the offer, because I wanted to show people what a proper offer, in my opinion, looks like, and how you can make your landing page convert. So far, I counted all of the leads this very morning. I've received 12 leads that are highly qualified, minus 2 e-commerce leads that I didn't want to receive. But people mentioned that they love my offer so much that they wanted to try anyway. So I think that's a very cool thing. But essentially, I'm aiming towards lead gen advertisers and SaaS advertisers above 25k euro in spend per month. This offer is basically tailored towards. And the offer is basically a 90-day transformational program where we have a really clear beginning and a really clear ending. So essentially, it is a full done for you or a done with you rebuild of the entire Google Ads stack, essentially, in order to make it, 2025 ready and also future ready. So the account can scale from, a proper foundation. So what I see in the market currently is that a lot of Google Ads related offers are relatively boring. mine was boring as well before this particular relaunch, where people are simply mentioning, hey, we're doing Google Ads outsourcing and we can help you optimize or scale your account. But it's relatively empty inside. So if you start to look for, well, how are they different from peers or competitors, then you won't find any answers apart from cases or testimonials, if Google Ads specialists or agencies are already, well, mentioning them, and a lot of them aren't. So I wanted to, well, shake things up a little bit and do it differently from what most Google Ads agencies and Google Ads freelancers or specialists do. And that is, well, giving it a different name, doing it in a different format, which is more so a project instead of a, well, ongoing retainer, so to say. And it works really well so far based on the number of leads that I received, because I simply cannot handle all of them. I can only do 2 per quarter. So I'm essentially sold out, and also for the next quarter, which I'm really, really happy with.
Nice.
So that is the first context I wanted to give. Any questions so far, Mas?
No, yeah. So maybe from your own perspective as well, like you said, like the offers that you see in the market, basically what we're all doing as Google Ads specialists, you kind of called it boring. But why did you feel the need to create a new offer? Or obviously to stand out, but was there also an incentive for you personally to create something new? Like what was it that initially sparked this thought for you? Like, hey, let me see if I can test this and launch this new offer.
Yeah, so one of the reasons was launching because of the course, the landing page mastery that we recently launched. But I also wanted to do things differently for myself. So thus far, I worked with retainers and some clients I've been managing, well, 7+ years already, which are among, well, the top clients that I manage currently that I'm really, really happy with. They give me plenty of room to experiment and to roll out new ideas. They have a proper dev team internally. So if I want to build some kind of conversion tracking frameworks, all can be done essentially. But for the other half of the clients that I managed recently, that I essentially stopped working with, they were kind of mid-size. And I felt that I was basically optimizing because for the sake of it. So the accounts were they were really solid in terms of fundamentals. I was testing with creatives. Landing pages were done by the company as well. But essentially, we hit certain plateaus inside of the account, which led to a more boring month to month, essentially. Yeah. So because I like to work in a relatively fast changing environment, I started to also rethink the way that I like to work. And the way I like to work is based on projects. So project based, essentially. That's what I learned in the past couple of years. So that's also a reason why I launched this particular format, because it has a really, really clear beginning and an end. Yeah. It is a 90-day transformational program that also has a clear guarantee. So if people are not able to hit a 3x ROI on the investment in me, then they won't have to pay anything. So I will only invoice them afterwards if I was able to hit the targets that we basically agreed upon. Yeah. And that's also a little bit of a motivation for me in order to really, really make things happen and scale beyond what currently was impossible. Yeah. So that's also a reason behind it. And so far, I'm really liking the concept because I'm seeing different accounts every quarter. It also helps me to learn way faster, see way more accounts, and work with a lot more, really talented people. So that's also a big reason for it.
Yeah, and it's always like with especially with Google Ads, like with new clients, it's the beginning is sort of the most exciting phase, because then you're doing an audit and you find all these things and you get to decide on the strategy and implement your strategy. And you can see oftentimes like quick wins in the beginning, and then over time, for example, a new campaign structure starts to hit, or you fix the conversion tracking, and you kind of lay a new foundation, and from there you start to build on it. But as the account becomes more mature through your way of working, I wouldn't necessarily say that the hours managing goes down, because there's always so much that you can do. But it is the most exciting part in the beginning to change everything and throw it around. So it's nice to see new businesses, new verticals, new industries that you may not have worked in previously. And I know that, for example, from your perspective, as you said, you've had clients that you've been working with for years, then your portfolio is just always like full, and you have to reject clients like almost all the time, unless it's a super interesting project for you. But time is limited, so you kind of stick to your own portfolio. But then as time progresses, you don't really see inside the other industries, or under the hood of other companies. And now with this transformation, like every 90 days, you're seeing one or two new companies. It's a big plus as well, right?
Yeah, it's exciting, because you get to redo all of the stuff that really makes our work really fun every single quarter. And that's what I like to do. So apart from that, I also see our industry moving towards these types of offers in the near future. Because I think also with the with the developments in terms of AI, but also what Google is doing in terms of internal and internal feature releases, the things become a little bit less complex and easier to manage. So I think a lot of the Google Ads projects in the near future will be transformations, and less so far on retainer based. So that's also why I'm starting to do this, also to show people where the industry might be heading towards, and also how you can do things completely different from the status quo.
Yeah. So what are the components of this new offer? We kind of touched on it briefly in the introduction, but can you go through it from your what are you actually going to do? What are the next steps?
Yeah, so I've got two types of offers essentially within my 90-day transformation program. I've got a done for you component where I simply do it all, and I've got a done with me component. And this particular client went for the done with me component. So I sold the project as a 3-phase project. And in the PPC Hub, I will also share some more resources that also give some more insights out about how I sold this. And how you can maybe also learn from that. But basically, the 3 components are 3 phases, basically spread over the 3 months, the 90-day period. So the first phase is a audit phase plus a strategy session phase. So what I did last week, we essentially started with a strategy session that I also call a choice review session, in order for me to fully understand what's going on, how the account is built up, the certain choices they made in the past, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, but also to answer some of my questions like conversion actions with really weird naming conventions that I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. So I need to have the full context available in order to make a really solid audit. Because if you don't do that, based on my experience, then sometimes you see weird things going on in accounts, and you mention that inside of the Google Ads audit, and they have a really solid reason for that. Because of
based
XYZ, based on history or whatever. So that's not what I want. So I want full context. So last week I started with the strategy session, choice review session, And after this particular podcast, I'm starting with the audit. So I hope to finish the audit this week as well. So I can present the audit to the client. And then based on the audit, we can then head over to phase 2, which is a collaborative rebuild of certain campaigns within certain accounts. So this particular customer has a relatively big MCC with 6 sub-MCCs with, well, I think close to 10 different accounts based on different domain extensions, based on different geo regions. So I'm going to focus on one of them in order to pinpoint, well, one particular account. Obviously, it is the biggest account with hopefully also the biggest, well, how do you say it?
Impact.
The biggest impact, essentially. And from that, I'm going to suggest certain rebuilds. So over here, I'm going to first tell and then also show them how I would rebuild the campaigns or ad groups or the entire account based on the findings in my audit. Then in that second phase, I'm going to also, well, obviously talk that through with them. And then they can ask certain questions, why I made certain choices and why this might be better than their current setup. And hopefully I can convince them in order to roll that out in their full account, or maybe start experimenting with that in a sub part of their account. And then after that, we have phase number 3, which is a ongoing, well, support. Well, not ongoing support, but I sold 2 additional supportive coaching sessions of 60 minutes each to ask follow-up questions and to also help them out with their new account structure, so to say. So it is basically a full knowledge transfer from me to them, where I don't just tell them what to do, but I also show them what to do, how I would do things differently. And then, well, I simply help them in the full process.
Yeah, nice. So this is the done with you service. So you are essentially, it's sort of coaching session plus, right? It's not only coaching, sort of. Yeah, actually, that's not true what I'm saying, because you're doing the audit and the choice review session, and you're actually rebuilding first, but then you're also transferring this knowledge to the team, right? That's an important component of it. If you did sorry. Go ahead.
Because I don't want to leave them hanging with like, okay, this is what Bob mentioned, this is what Bob suggested, and then, okay, hands off, and they need to do it themselves. That's not what I want to happen, because I want to be there when they have certain questions, problems, but then it's up to them after that in order to roll it out to different accounts, etc.
Yeah, cool. And if it was the done for you format offer, how would it have been different then? Would you just do everything and then continue managing, or how would the handover look like?
Yeah, so the done for you variant is essentially still a 90-day program. So it still has a really clear begin and an ending. But it's really different in terms of, well, activities. So if it were a done for you variant, I would have sold it for way more money because a lot more work needed to be done. So this is a quite a big account that needs some attention based on what I've seen right now. But it's not only the Google Ads campaigns and the Google Ads account that are part of the audit. So the full program is based on our Google Ads success formula that we've created, which is essentially a 9-step formula from account structure all the way to conversion tracking, landing pages, irresistible offer creation. And I basically want to check every single box in that 90-day period, because every single component needs to be perfect in order to make your campaigns convert properly and to also scale beyond what wasn't possible thus far. So if that was the case, this project would have been way bigger. That was also really quite fun to do. But for this project, it's relatively small.
Yeah. But it's nice. It's nice for companies as well. If you think about it, like you're doing a 90-day transformation, but it's also the core component of that is the audit. And it's so nice if you have your company, if you have your team. We all know the challenges of in-house teams is sort of knowledge transfer and getting the knowledge, because there's often a relatively small team of maybe more broadly educated specialists, and you're just limited to all the knowledge that you have in-house. So they need to get knowledge from external sources. But it's nice to get this audit from an expert and just see where you can improve, and then they can obviously decide like what are we going to implement, and you help them with that. But they have to be the ones ultimately to do the heavy lifting, especially after that initial restructuring phase. I think it's such a no-brainer for companies moving forward to have this type of audit at least once per year, but maybe even more often, just to see where the gaps are and what you can improve. So I think this type of offer works well for you, but I think it's also really nice for people that already have their in-house team, and maybe they're not looking for agencies or freelancers to work with, but they do want that external knowledge and bring that inside. And I think that's just super nice, because they're also following up with their team twice to do those meetings. And then you ensure that the knowledge transfer is really there, which is super important for in-house. And I think a lot of companies are also not doing that frequently enough. Mm-hmm. So people like to trust themselves. Based on what they did in the past and the knowledge that they have. But there are always knowledge gaps, and there are always new ideas outside of your current bubble that might grow your account way faster. So I think it's really a really good thing to do to frequently, at least once per year, have your account audited. Doesn't matter if that is doesn't matter if you're managing your Google Ads accounts in-house. Doesn't matter if you have your Google Ads accounts managed by a freelancer. You just want to have some fresh insights and some additional ideas from outsiders that do not have that tunnel vision, especially after years of managing a certain account. Yeah, and I think with this offer, it's super important to have good terms and conditions. Not like of course, like you need the official document, but I mean more so in discussing the expectations up front, so they know what to expect. You know what to expect. Because I think the pitfall, the danger is that they will lean on you as their management partner and keep asking you questions throughout the process, and as if you were managing the account. So how have you thought about that? How have you tackled that? Because I know that you have some terms and conditions that you've set up, but how have you managed the expectations upfront with this client so that they will not sort of overstep their boundaries? But I don't mean that in a negative way, but just so that the structure of this format is respected, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're trying to say. So especially during the initial conversations, I manage the expectations. So here's what I can do. You've got two sources to choose from: the done for you, the done with me variants. It's up to you, and also it's up to your budget, which one you want to go for. And then following up, I have a really simple to understand and really clear quotation format that I like to work with, that has clear phases with really clear deliverables. So I call them outcomes and deliverables that I highlight per phase, essentially. So if it's a done for you variant, I essentially sum or highlight every single component that I'm going to do. If it's a done with you, variant, I essentially do the same, but I also mention what I'm not going to do. So in this particular instant, the client has a lot of different accounts. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to focus on one of the specific accounts. And during the previous strategy session, the marketing manager already mentioned a performance max campaign they were experimenting with in a different account. And I already had to mention like, hey, it's in a different account. So I'm not going to tackle that because that's not what we agreed upon. So you need to be really clear, not only in the initial conversations and in your quotation formats, but also in the following up conversations, because it's easy to get overrun from my experience. So the thing I lean the most on is my quotation format. That is just really strict and really clear. So that's it. If people want more, that can be arranged, but it's not in the initial quotation. So I need to bring out a different quotation for that.
I have the quotation that you created. I have it here on my screen. We're going to share that in the PPC Hub, as Bob said. Just check the resources. Should be there sometime. But you mentioned like no long-term contracts included. We'll reassess the scope and next steps after phase 3 is complete. So the ongoing advisory. And then note no asynchronous support between sessions is included. And I think that is key because then everyone knows what to expect. They shouldn't contact, not pick up the phone and call you during those, when they're working on the rebuild or when you are working on the rebuild, and then everyone is happy. And I think if they do not agree with this type of format, then you don't work with them, and then it's fine. But I think the cool thing about this, why this is such a fresh wind in the industry, is because you are not a traditional agency, so you're not just doing this for the money. Obviously the investment is a part of it, but it's not the core reason, I would assume, for you to run this. Because if you did, then you would try to upsell them and say, oh yeah, we can take that PMax campaign and we can do that country as well. And then the project becomes bigger and bigger because you also can grow with it. But you intentionally keep it small, as small as possible within the 90-day time frame, so that you can deliver the best possible outcome in that period and also be happy with the time that it costs you and what you get from it personally. I think that's a really cool thing about this offer.
Yeah, correct. And I am in the position to also overcharge, to be completely fair. So if you, for example, look at the phase 2 element, the collaborative rebuild, I sold that for quite a bit of money. So if you do the math in terms of hourly rates, it's going to be a big, revenue driver for me, and I will get a lot of margin out of it. But essentially, I do not really care because it's not my core business anymore because, that's PPC Mastery. But somehow it makes it easier to sell, to be completely honest, because previously you had to sell in order to be able to build to pay the bills, and now these are simple bonuses, so to say. So I also didn't follow up. I just waited for them to respond. I had to wait for 1.5 months, and essentially the first mail I got was, "Hey Bob, are you still interested in working with us?" So that was already like
do you want to work with us?
So somehow it has a really good effect if you try to sell this way, out of a sort of nonchalance way. I'm not really sure how to say it, but it works for me. Plus I hate selling. I absolutely despise selling. So absolutely. I like to consult. Tactics. No sales tactics. I like to consult, be really clear, show my credentials, show proof, be really clear what they can expect. And if they want to go forward, let's go. And that's quality first. And I noted that. I wanted to briefly discuss that as well, because this is all coming from the personal brand that you have built over the last
5 to 7 years or so, starting with LinkedIn and obviously working with clients, delivering quality, getting referrals, stuff like that. And you mentioned that you launched this new offer with your new website, with the new landing page, and you got 12 highly qualified leads from that.
-2.
I actually had 10
yeah.
I can say sales qualified leads, like super highly qualified leads for you. And then 2 were also, but not qualified because they were ecom. But
so
it
12
is
leads, 10 qualified leads.
yeah, good ratio. But it's all because you have already spent the time building your personal brand. And then people see, oh, Bob is launching this new. First of all, you rarely talk about that you're accepting new clients, because it just rarely happens. So when it happens, people are like, oh yeah, I want to take that spot. There's only 2 spots. So there's scarcity there. There's also urgency because it's a 90-day window. You say, I'm booking out slots now for Q3. So that works. But I think the reason why this has been so successful already for you now is because you have built that personal brand. And I think if you're a freelancer listening to this, that is where the long term. I heard Gary Vee talk about that in a podcast recently, and he said that your personal brand is sort of your insurance policy for your career, and it stuck with me. It's so true because so powerful because you don't have to rely on sales tactics and following up, and we all get those emails, especially now, like. Because I have 60,000 followers on LinkedIn and I still have my email address there, which is going to change that soon because it's super annoying. Getting all these cold outreach emails, not only in my LinkedIn inbox, but also in my email. And it's all the same. Oh, I have a question. Have you thought about this? You want to get in touch with someone who can help you with sales? Blah, blah, blah. Like, no, block. And so for some people, I've been super successful with that as a freelancer, as an agency, but that's not how we roll and what we prefer. So what you're doing with this is just providing value upfront, showing quality, always over delivering to your clients. And then the market sort of starts to notice that, and they, people want to especially work with you. So you do this proposal and then it's crickets for 1.5 months because they are still, working on their processes internally. And then they follow up with you like, hey, what's up? You still want to work with us? Well, otherwise, you still have time. Otherwise, the other way around, it would have been like you follow up after 2 days and you have this, sales flow, blah, blah, blah. But no, just if they want to work with you, let's do it. If they don't, then not. And you have 9 other highly qualified companies to choose from. So just
and I have to say I fully agree with that, but I also have to add to that it's not only personal brand. So obviously your personal brand comes from something because it doesn't start from itself. But I think one of the core reasons that people like to work with me and why I have a really solid lead to also close deal rate is that I also show the proof. Yeah. So I'm not only telling people that I'm a good Google Ads specialist and I'm good at what I do, but I also show them like, here are a couple of cases that are similar to your industry where I went from A to Z that resulted in X, so to say. And that's also where I lead by. So if you look at my proposals, they are heavily created towards credibility and also authority. To show that I know what I'm doing and that I can do the same for the company, the potential client that I'm bringing, that I'm showing the offer to, essentially. So personal brand, it really helps having a really solid amount of reach in order to reach people, but it's not enough. So if you don't have the proof, if you don't have the credibility, authority, if you don't have testimonials, then you're still going to have a hard time selling.
Yeah, for sure.
And once again, I don't like to sell. I like to consult, be really, really clear in what people can expect. And obviously, my offer is well put, at least from my side of, from my point of view. So that helps. But I don't follow up. I don't actively sell. If people want to work with me, it comes basically from them. So it's their call, so to say.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so the next step from here, you have done the choice review, like the strategy session, right?
Yeah. So I'm still figuring out how to call it. I think I'm going to call it the choice review session because it is in fact, talking about certain choices that were made within the Google Ads account in order to have full context about what has been done, what worked, what didn't work, etc. That helps me to create the audit without question marks and stuff that I'm going to mention that were intentionally put in place that are faulty from my perspective if I don't know the reasoning behind it. So that's what I had last week. After this particular session, I'm going to start doing the actual audit. I'm not going to do a checklist-based audit. That's what I use for myself. So I'm going to check the boxes for myself in order to tackle every single major component within the account. But the audit itself is going to be presented in a, slideshow-ish format, a presentation style format that is built upon our Google Ads Success Formula framework. Yeah. So we're going to check the boxes from that perspective, and then I'm going to dive deeper into the checks that we have put in place in our internal checklist, so to say, because presenting the checklist is relatively boring. Yeah. It often lacks context. Yeah. And I think, this way it gives some more context and it's easier to follow and put in place. Yeah. After that, we're going to rebuild some of the campaigns within one particular account collaboratively, where I'm going to do the major work, and then based on that, they can roll it out themselves. They can start experimenting with the new setup, and then after we have to follow up coaching sessions, so to say. Yeah. So cool. Those will also be the following up episodes of this particular season, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, is there anything that we forgot to mention around the offer? Why now? Because then in the next episode, which is going to launch probably next week, but we'll see. Sometimes the intervals can be bigger if the if you're still doing the audits or still discussing with clients, whatever. But probably next week. Is there anything we forgot to mention around the offer and why this now?
I don't think so.
Cool.
For now.
Great. In that case, then we'll stop here, guys. This was the first episode of Scaling with Bob. So what we're going to do next week, actually in the PPC Hub, in the resources, sometime soon, you'll see the quotation request that Bob has created for this client. And then next week, we are going to dive into a little bit more the proposal, how that was structured, and then into the choice review session. So what did Bob learn from that? What were the types of questions that he asked? Step by step, going through unit economics, understanding the client, understanding the account, what choices were made, etc. And so hopefully you can then also use those, use that format or that structure for your own maybe choice review sessions or your own questionnaires for your clients, etc. And obviously, like every client is different, so there's going to be vertical specific things that you need to know, account specific things that you need to know, but you can always learn something from this process. And then after that, we're going to dive into the actual audit, how Bob did that, what he learned from that. And then we have a couple episodes left in which we're just going to look at what have we learned in this whole process, what are the next steps from here, et cetera, as Bob is going, actually doing the work with the client, for the client initially, and then with the client after that. So I think there's a lot to be learned here. It's a new offer, so it's cool to experiment with it. And it's also fun, I think, to at the same time build in public and show you guys, what Bob is learning from this, what's going well, what is maybe not going well that he didn't oversee in the beginning. And
it's new for me as well. So certain things might backfire completely. And I'm going to share that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks guys for watching this first one. And don't forget to like, subscribe, especially subscribe. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We want to get there. And thanks everyone. Bob, any closing thoughts from you?
No, really enjoy to be back. So I'm going to do some actual work after this potty, and then hopefully bring some more context and info to the table in the second episode. And a sneak preview, we will be sharing all of the questions, the questionnaire that I created essentially as a free resource in the second episode as well. Yeah. So also for the PPC Hub members. So that might be something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, then you will love our newsletter. Just go to ppcmastery.com/newsletter. And as a free gift, you will also get our audit templates for free, which we used to sell for 200 euros. You can just grab it for free. And with that said, we'll catch you on the next episode of the PPC Mastery podcast with the Scaling with Bob format. Take care.
Cheers.
All right, that's the end of this episode of the PPC Mastery Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you don't want to miss any future episodes, we're going to be back next week. Then don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend, family member, or a colleague, because that's the only way we can grow this show. Now, there's 2 more things I want to share with you. If you want to take your Google Ads game to the next level, the first one is, if you want to get advanced Google Ads tips delivered straight into your inbox on Mondays and Fridays, head over to ppcmastery.com/newsletter to subscribe to our newsletter called the PPC Edge. And next to that, if you want to really take your skills to the next level and become the best Google Ads specialist you can possibly be, then consider joining the PPC Hub, which is our coaching and community platform for experienced Google Ads specialists. You can find everything about it on ppcmastery.com/hub. And with that said, I'll catch you in next week's episode. Peace.